we are.
This is True OF Entertainment.
Woohoo, and we're back. Look at this. Look at this motley crew. This is exciting.
How are you doing?
Good. How are you?
Well, it would appear from heat waves to what was the theme for today?
Polarization.
Oh, I thought it was all to do about being cold because it's cold. So I thought it was to do with being in the polar cap or something.
Well, cold and heat, those are polars. So there is polarization as well.
Opposite polar.
Yeah, the opposite, the contrast. Yeah, that's the topic today.
Yeah.
Which, of course, it has many extensions in many fields. It can be in physics, it can be in society, in psychology, in many things. But before this, I continue telling you about the heat wave. We had a heat wave here in Greece and Turkey, I think. And at the same time, in the northern part of Europe, there was heavy rain and cold. In England, there was, somebody told me 6 degrees and they had to put the heat on.
We've been sitting the last week. We sat in the evenings and we put our winter blanket out and we sat. Yeah, because in the evening it's got a real chill to it.
Unbelievable.
And it's just been biblical again. The raining. I mean, I'd actually packed away my EK Arc. I thought I won't need it, but I've got it. We've got it back out of the shed again now. We started building. So
well, we as I said, we had for 4 days over 40 degrees, and the last one was 43 degrees. And I tell you that each heat wave is different. This was the second one in June, and we're not even summer yet, because summer starts in 4 days or something like this. I mean, by the calendar.
Well, you have to for everybody in the United States, 42 Celsius is about 112 degrees Fahrenheit. So.
Yeah,
and no wind. That's why
all melting weather.
That's why we need a lot of ice.
Yeah.
There's going to be no more water.
When I lived in Greece, I think 41 was the one we had.
41.
Up. Yeah. And it was like being walked out. When I walked out, so they said, "Have you felt it?" I said, "No." They said, "Well, go outside and feel it." And it felt literally like somebody was holding
it's a
iron, the iron to the side of your face. It was really bizarre.
Yeah, man. The worst, I mean, by temperature was in 2007. I think I was in Athens, and it was a week that was over 45. I think one day was 47 or something like this. And in Athens, because here is a village, so it's supposed to be better because there are trees and stuff. But there is concrete, and I mean, even the night was really, really hot. Now here in the night, we had also 30 degrees in the night. So one day I slept outside. I couldn't, I mean, well, with the stars, but I was, in the morning, I was walking by mosquitoes and other stuff, hell from hell, I don't know.
That's the thing about it being so wet here, is that we are expecting, we've already been told by the health ministry, go and check in the garden, empty all the flower pots, empty any water that's lying in the top of pots, anything which could contain water, because they're expecting, we can always see, I mean, I live right by water here, so we see them in the evening, literally clouds of mosquitoes. It's going to be a nice juicy.
That the mosquitoes are responsible for most death, right? Those fuckers are.
Well, I'm responsible for most death of mosquitoes because I hate the little buggers, and
there are trillions of them. You can't touch them.
I'm pretty.
It's like putting a war on ants. You will not.
I'm sort of pretty. Shall we say? Yeah, it's my doorbell. Sorry. Pretty Buddhist about about killing stuff. I try not to.
Yeah,
But
me
I have
too.
but I have a simple rule. If it bites me, I'm going to kill it. That's
yeah, because they're both natural, in my opinion. That killing and protecting. You kill when you feel uncomfortable, or your survival depends on killing the one that wants to kill you. So it's a defense.
And just to let you know,
it's a defense mechanism.
1 million people a year die from mosquitoes.
1 million people every year.
This is according to the CDC.
Yeah, and imagine what was happening.
So
yeah, imagine what was happening years and years ago when people didn't have any solution against the mosquitoes. Now we have some tablets or sprays or something.
Yeah,
but there was a time we didn't have anything.
Controversial, though, because there's lots of reports, and I know one person that I know in particular who'd taken malaria tablets, and it had literally, it turned him psychotic. It's so. He's
better now, David?
He's currently in an ongoing court case, been going on for the last. I'll ignore that. Going on for the last 10 years or so.
Oh wow!
And because it's and if you have certain mental issues, you're strongly advised not to take malaria tablets.
Huh. Well, when I lived in South Florida, down like Palm Beach, Miami, that whole area, I remember that every now and then the truck would drive by from the county spraying mosquito repellent. Like it would just drive down the street.
How healthy was that then?
I was smoking a cigar while they were doing it, drinking a scotch, so I'm thinking it was very healthy. But anyway, it was like and the mosquitoes down there are mega. So it's in Austin. We have mosquitoes, but they don't seem to be that bad here for some reason.
Are they Mexican mosquitoes?
Well, that I think it's
immigrants.
It's the fact that it's like 100. It's 100 Fahrenheit, or if you will, like 40 Celsius, or 35 Celsius. So on a daily basis here. So I think they just explode mid-flight. So
it's not that Trump managed to build a wall to keep all the mosquitoes out then.
I think he might have built a wall to keep the mosquitoes out. I don't know. All I know is
all around USA.
I saw something yesterday that says Trump wants to get rid of NOAA. That's the government agency here in the United States that predicts hurricanes, because he thinks that they're contributing to global climate conspiracy.
Okay. Well, I'm a bit concerned about NOAA, because as I say, I'm currently building one of his arcs that we got from IKEA. So I wouldn't want to see anything happen to NOAA.
Yeah, that's not different NOAA. This is NOAA.
Okay.
So
all right. Well, that's fair enough then. As long as does he make good flat packs as well or not?
He did. This NOAA is a government agency that predicts hurricanes and storms, and and is talking about climate change.
Then? So, is that not useful? It's
very useful, but apparently, Mr. Orange Man doesn't think so, and he wants to get rid of it.
So you see, we are already in the topic of polarization, because there are people who believe in climate change and others not. Of course, it's not a religious matter. It's a matter of science and predictions about what's going on. And I've watched a documentary by Deutsche Welle, and it was about USA. That some cities like one Colston, or I don't know, that has sued the oil companies. It was one. Wait, which city was it?
New Orleans.
And I think there's 30 cities that have sued Charleston, and they have a problem with because they had a beach that was like a park, and you can see the rise of the water, that it's covering the trees, and there's a big part of the trees already that's lost, because this is salty water and they cannot live inside the water. They live just outside the trees. And also the city had a problem. They had to rise up the promenade or something like that there's a road and something like for 1 meter. And in the 90s, there was a guy who was working for one of the oil companies. He was a scientist there, and they made predictions. If we continue doing what we are doing and everything, what will happen now, like 2023, 4? and they predicted everything very accurately, but they never put out, all those results to the people because they had to change the policies, and that was a problem for them. And the guy who was working, the scientist, he said, I had to leave there because they didn't, do anything about that. We make all the scientific experiments about it, but they don't comply to those. They don't. So there are like 30. So now the companies, the oil companies, they admit that there is a problem. So if they admit it's a big problem now.
Yeah, but they're not going to do anything. Doesn't matter.
But he was probably a Dutch guy anyway, and he just said, "Look, the water's coming up. Hire us all in because hey, New Orleans did it, but they only did half of it. Hire all the Dutch in, and they'll build an enormous dike, and it'll keep the water out. It'll keep Mexicans out. It'll keep mosquitoes out. It's like dike is another word for wall, I suppose.
Yes, we know what a dike is, Dave.
Yeah, so
the LGBT
yeah, but the climate.
Don't you call it a levee in the UK, in the US? It's a levee, a dike.
Well, we can't use dike here because the LGBT community gets upset. So yes, they call them a levee, but then the Jews get upset because they think you're saying that they're levees. So you know what I mean. So you can't win. It's a lose-lose situation. However, our number one fan, Dawn, says to us, just so we're clear, she said that not only are they spraying for mosquitoes, but they're also spraying for moths up north. I'm assuming that's like in the tri-state area. So that's very interesting. I've never heard of that they sprayed for moths.
Is that on the Republican ticket as well? They're
I don't know that, but I don't know if that's on the Republican ticket. But Dawn, in her little comment, just said when we were talking about spraying, they said they spray all over, even up north. And they don't spray in Texas, just to let you know, Dawn. And now they're spraying to kill moths. So I didn't know that we had a moth problem. Yeah. So that's very interesting too. We're just killing our whole ecosystem.
Well, they're illegal as well, probably, and that'll probably go on the ticket. There'll be a wall for that. Because there's no point in spray. It's not going to be good. I mean, spray Mexicans, they still keep coming. So Trump will invariably have to build a wall. So be a wall for moths, a wall for mosquitoes.
But they cannot spray in the Mexico, in territory of Mexico. They can spray in USA, so they will be spraying also Americans.
You can see all the MAGA guys, they're all standing there, on the US side of the border, spraying all the Mexicans as they come in. It's a bit like going to Australia, really, isn't it? Same thing.
But there are people in Greece now coming back. But although we will stay in the topic, there are people here who believe that we are generally sprayed, with chemtrails. Now, if you ask them what they are spraying to kill us, well, don't they kill us, like, for example, with the food, or we choose to do this?
No, it's all the little nanobots that fall out of the car.
Like I don't know. But this is also a polarized thing.
It's sponsored by Bill Gates. Who else got the thing? Jeff
Bezos. Some rich guys normally, and maybe Rothschilds, and stuff like that.
Listen, my people don't do anything. We just have Jewish space lasers. Well, let's not bring the Rothschilds into this. We just have the Jewish space lasers. That's all we have. We don't do nanobots. So,
but
how do you use them?
We're waiting. We're waiting for January 20th of next year. So, if the Orange Man gets sworn in, talking about polarization, that's polarizing.
Yes, of course.
Everybody's watching what's going on. And then there was a show last night that I watched, John Oliver Tonight. Shout out to you, Mr. Oliver. And he did a whole thing on Trump and this thing called Project 2025 that talks about if Trump becomes president, they've literally laid out a way for him to disband the government. And it was like shocking because his first term, they didn't have a clue. Now people are trying to help him. So really, once again, we're becoming 1932 Germany. I keep saying that, and people think I'm an idiot, but there's no friggin' way, man. It's just unbelievable. Yeah. They're gonna.
As if anybody is surprised. Is anybody surprised?
I'm more. I think what happens is I get more surprised the more things I read and see. Like I'm gonna go get this book, Project 2025, because it's almost like. Man, this is going to be controversial, and I like it. It's almost like Mein Kampf. It literally tells you how to take apart democracy, where Mein Kampf told you how to get, exterminate the Jews and build a country. This one's almost how to tear down a country and do whatever. So if you're not a supporter of the Orange Man, then that's going to be a problem. So all these comics that make fun of him on television, because nobody watches this show.
Yeah,
I'm just kidding.
They're
They're going to have a problem. I'm thinking he wants to disband the FBI. He wants to disband NOAA. He wants to disband the Department of Education, because the Department of Education is a whole
Stephen,
thing. So
tell me, how possible is it? I mean, practically.
It's very because you have a bunch of stupid people now that.
But there's a system that in the U.S. there is.
No, really, we had a succession on January 6th, and Mr. Trump has said he will pardon the people that have already been convicted. There is no more system. America now is broken.
But
unless
you can see that people are flirting with this kind of policies that they want maybe to be implemented in a way. Like, look, we had the European elections, and Macron already declared elections for the parliament in France. In a way, I think he's trying to do, okay, you want Le Pen to be in the government, let's do it. Here is the elections, let's vote for her, and let's see what happens. Because, it's easy to say things and, we can change this and this and this and everything will change. But practical, it's not that easy.
Yes,
and kind of the same happens with Brexit, because now we have elections in the UK, right? And who is back? And there was also in TikTok, David, I don't know if you see, the Nigel Farage.
Yeah,
and he had in TikTok, do you see, look who's back? And I watched a little of his interview and stuff, and he's blaming, did Brexit was a success? Well, no, because it wasn't implemented as Brexit. So what the fuck? So the success Brexit is a specific things that had to be done that have not been done. Yeah. And what? Well, I don't know. Yeah. Well, look how polarized was the community in the UK at that time. It was very polarized.
Still. I mean, one of the reasons why, again, you're talking about. Macron has pulled the trigger in France, and he didn't really have a lot of choice, because he didn't. There was this particular thing that he stands for politically. Wasn't getting anywhere. Every time he tried to do something, he had a minority and it got blocked. So, he didn't have a lot of choice. So he's pulled the trigger now. And it's the same thing as David Cameron did with Brexit. He thought, nobody's going to vote for that. Nobody's that stupid. Yeah. Well, nobody was that stupid, but a lot more people were lazy and they didn't get their asses out of bed. And so therefore they didn't vote, because we only lost it by 1%.
Yeah. It was very small, and it was 1% goes to the other. If one votes for one, it takes from the other, so it's 2% actually, right?
Yeah. So that was there's a sort of political arrogance about that, and I think Macron may literally get caught with his trousers down this time, because and Farage, for instance, what he's doing in the UK, he's saying, well, look, the Tories are finished. There've been 14 years of playing, disappearing up their own indifference. And now I'm the man. I told you about Brexit. It happened. I didn't do it, but Boris did it for me. And, we're going to stop the boats. His idea is exactly what the Greeks are now being punished for, because his idea is don't bother to bring them on shore. No, we chuck them off a boat and let them swim back to France. That's his immigration process. So, we're all going to the right.
Sunak also has had some great ideas about deporting people to Uganda or something like that. Did you hear about that? And he was serious about this.
Is what he wanted to send
what you're gonna put the Syrians or other Afghans and to put it to Uganda? What the fuck?
What they said to the Rwandan government is, "Would you like a shitload of money?" And the Rwandan government said, well, yes, please. Do we have to do anything for it? So, you just got to prepare a few hotels so we can send you all the people that we don't want. Is that okay? But can you give us the money first? Oh, yeah, we'll do that. So they paid him like £4 million, or maybe even more than that. whole load of money. And ironically, to date, there's been more people shipped out of Rwanda back to the UK than the other way. Because the European court said, no, guys, you can't do that. That's, you signed a mandate saying that, this, and that's what Farage said. Oh, don't worry about any agreement we signed in the past. Does that sound familiar to anybody in the US? Don't worry about anything that we signed,
Yeah.
But what I read today, something what was like, Nigel Farage is like the poor man's version of Donald Trump. Whereas Donald Trump.
Yeah, but they're friends. It's the same.
Well,
group.
Yeah, well, he's just yeah. I mean, when you see Farage and Trump, Farage has a problem. He has to have his head surgically removed from the orange man's asshole, I think, because he's so up there.
But I think Farage doesn't have that power. I mean, like Trump has, or
he
Le
will
Pen.
Have, because he will have, because he's dividing the Tories, and if the Tories lose, which they probably will anyway. But
it's what happened in Greece. That the the government actually is, let's say, center right.
Yeah.
But it is the vote that they lost, because they lost a lot of votes, and they went to the far right, which is saying about those things that we are speaking about, immigrants, about against. There was a law for gay people to, LGBT people to have marriages, and they're opposing this. It's like, this is our problems in society. For example, we don't have climate change, we don't have expensive products everywhere, or rising up of the prices of the housing and everything. I don't know.
That's not important. What's important is to ban two people of the same sex kissing, or having a relationship. That's incredibly important.
Yeah.
Well, that's if you want to go in that. Trump has a video on his website that says when he becomes president, he's going to have Congress pass a law that there is only two sexes in America, male and female, no trans. You're either, whatever your birth certificate says, that's what you are.
Yeah. I have sort of semi sympathy for that, because the debate has not. There needs to be a lot more debate. Is okay. So if it's not, then there is a third something, whatever that is. Right. And then the law, all the laws have to be changed. But at the moment, you're sitting there. If you're a toilet sticker company, and you've got a whole supply of the not male, not female stickers that you are ready to sell to any toilet, any restaurant anywhere in the world, then you have to sort of sit on your hands for a bit, don't you? Because if you're not male and you're not female, where are we?
You're one or the other. Here's my issue with this. Also, he wants to get rid of the abortion pill here, and he also wants to get rid of the Department of Education and all this other stuff. My whole problem with this is, this goes back to the separation, if you will, of church and state. So now the government's going to tell you what you can put in your body. So if he also wants to get rid of the FDA, or put his own people in the FDA, so you can say abortion pills now are terrible because they'll kill you. One of the Trump people was like, we should have more babies because we don't have enough babies. So now they're going to basically say to you, I'm assuming they're getting rid of prophylactics too. I mean, I'm sure they'll make abortion illegal, no prophylactics, no abortion pills. So what happens then? Women have no choice. But the funny part about it is, they all drank the water like in 1930s. And all of a sudden, they're all like, yay, this is great, blah, 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 blah. And I keep saying, we saw how this movie went, and it's not going to go any better here. It'll probably be worse. And so, but people don't seem to understand that. And listen, I think both parties need a whole revamping. I think they're both of them are just crap at this point. I also think we need to have more than two candidates. The other thing is that both of these guys are 100 years old. And you're telling me that neither party can find anybody younger with different ideas? I mean, it's like, it's movie Dumb and Dumber. It's picking, one's the lesser evil than the other. Like, I'm not a fan.
Yeah, because we're
Trump,
talking
it's
about
horrible.
polarization. You know what's the,
Right.
what's the big problem here is that life is never black and white.
Oh,
It's
I know.
somewhere in between.
Yep.
And it's always,
Yeah.
for example, the woke agenda is exaggerated. This is the truth.
Yeah.
I mean,
But I think
there are
Stephen
people
was
who you can say something on the internet. I experienced this with somebody said about something that Taylor Swift that he doesn't even, I don't understand, the whole thing about Taylor Swift, and I don't even find her attractive. And people were already crazy. Why are you saying not attractive or seems well? Is it so bad to say something that I don't find her attractive or him attractive or
no, but the thing about
and
it
why
is,
can I?
the thing about it is, Adam, is that we've lost our religions. Yeah, the church is.
Yeah, but
and
it's institution problem as well issue. I mean, because
well,
of them.
we've lost our beliefs, our traditional
Yeah, we've
beliefs.
lost the meaning.
But our new beliefs have been taken up by the super fans, and these are exactly the sort of people that you can't say Taylor Swift, don't like that dress, don't like the shoes,
Right.
don't like whatever, because you get the whole world and their brother over you. And get your gummy out and take out Taylor Swift, put in any megastar in there. And this is the new religion of the world we're in now. This is like
Trump. Trump's the same thing. If you look at
Yeah,
Trump, you
yeah,
can't
but
say
we're
anything bad
saying
about Trump.
about the same
His fans have
logic.
a heart attack.
Yeah. But I think the difference between we both agree, Steve, that America could quite easily turn into the late 20s, early 30s in Germany in a heartbeat. The only difference is that the people were violently poor. Let's put it that way. But in the US, everybody is armed, so that they will end up fighting themselves first, and then last man standing, they will choose whether or not it's a donkey or an elephant, I think,
or a new party. I guess that's kind of sad if you think about it, right? We had a civil war about 200 years ago, in 1800s. We fought. 200 years later, we possibly may have another one.
Do you know that there's sorry, Stephen? Do you know that there's a film in Netflix? I think that it's called Civil War, and it's about that.
I saw it. Well, here it was. We had to actually go to the movie theater to see it. It's a very interesting movie. It's about a rogue president.
It was not very good, but interesting.
Yeah. I mean, it's not going to win an Academy Award, but it was a very interesting movie. But it really is kind of it's almost like foreshadowing. It's like, hey guys, this is what could happen. And what's very interesting is that, to your point, David, in America, everyone has a weapon. I mean, literally, even 5-year-old kids have a weapon. So it's going to be interesting, depending on what happens, if you start militarizing everything, because there's still, whether they're a Trump fan or not, the good old boys. You're not taking their guns. You're not doing this. You're not doing. So I think you really are getting into a point where it really is going to be. This was a cool experiment for 250 years. And I don't know what it's going to turn out to be, just say in 10. I think by 2030, the America we know today people won't even know. They'll be like, America, what was that? It's going to be something like Atlantis. What was America? There wasn't an America. There was no United States. It literally is, I think, getting to that point.
Well, what I find most sad about it, Steve, is that it almost seems as if Americans can't talk about it for whatever mental blockage that brings them, or won't talk about it. I mean, everywhere you go, everybody says. I mean, in Europe, we look at America thinking, really, two old guys, and they're supposed to. And don't get me wrong, I'm not disrespectful to people of age. I mean, I've got snow on the roof as well, so that's not the issue. But the
responsibility is huge, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
It's huge.
To have somebody physically younger that could, let's say, take the demands quicker, faster. I'm not saying that either of them are incompetent to do it. Well, Trump, apart from Trump, but Mr. Biden, I think it's a clever cookie. He's been around for many years, but I think his age was going to catch up with him.
Yeah.
And you're in a progressive world now where there's so much stuff happening. Click, click.
But you used to have people that would go into politics back in the day that actually had, I don't know, double IQ points, even triple. And today it seems like all these people going with single IQ points, they're antiquated thinking. It's terrible. They're woke. Don't do that. And I'm kind of like, really, like neither party seems to bring anything to the table anymore. I don't see where the Democrats are doing anything. Joe Biden, listen, I hope he lives to be 100. Same with Mr. Trump. I have nothing against him. They can both live to be 100. However, I don't think either of you running our country is a good thing. Biden, I think he should, at the Democrat, step aside. I mean, I say this tongue in cheek. Michelle Obama should just become the candidate, and I think she would win. For the Republicans, it's a cult, in my opinion, and I think that their cult leader, if you will, is this gentleman, and that's great. But if you look at what happens with
they've been hijacked, haven't they? I think the Republicans have they been sleeping?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I'm not sure. It's scary when you look at it from the way of history, and like most people they don't teach kids history, and most adults don't know history. So when you look at it and you look at this, Trump more acts like a Julius Caesar, and we know what happened to Julius Caesar. So it's really when you start looking through history and you're like, this is what he's doing, and people, because they don't know history, don't want to, and they stick their head in the sand. It's kind of like, oh, well, that's kind of sad. I feel bad for everybody. I mean, at some point, it's either going to be, on November, 4th this year, we're going to be like, oh, this is, yay, democracy lives, or it's going to be like, oh, shit. Like, we got to get the, out of here, on November 5th. And I think there will be a mass exodus from people that can afford to leave. And I think the people that can't afford to leave is going to be like the early, 1930s of Germany, I think. And then by the end of the decade, it's going to literally be like the 40s. And I think at some point.
So that's going to be an issue then, because what about all those poor Americans trying to climb over the wall to get to Mexico? I mean,
Mexico will be pushing them out. So Mexico will be like, no, we don't want any Americans. We don't want any trouble.
But I want to comment something you said before about the Trump also, that we need more babies, right? But the problem is not that we need more babies. It's that we need more American babies, right?
Yes.
From Americans, the white, nice guys and stuff like that preserve the American culture. But America is a nation that is built on immigrants. Isn't it?
Yes.
So I'm not saying open the borders, let everybody come. I'm not saying this. I'm not saying this to Greece, because if we do it, that in one day 1 million people will come, and we cannot feed them. There is a problem to the society. I'm not saying that. But as I said before, that life is not black and white. We need to see what kind of people we need. I mean, from immigrants, maybe we need some immigrants. It's sure we need some immigrants, because, for example, there are works in Greece Greeks are not going to do. They're not going to work. Not any Greek will go and collect strawberries when it's 40 degrees, Right.
But
the Pakistani people or Afghani people, they will do it because they need the money,
But there's a gentleman who put a comment on one of our shorts or the show last week, because we were talking about the same thing. And he says, oh, there's the difference. You don't understand the difference between immigration and immigrant.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no, I do understand the definition. I actually read a book and have a brain cell. But when you talk about immigration, you talk about an immigrant, I don't know if you realize it, someone who immigrates here is still an immigrant, and he has to go through the other part of it. We're talking about illegal aliens that come and do stuff, like on a seasonal pass, but still an immigrant. They're not migrating here. They're just coming for the work. So I think
that's always been the case, isn't it? The migrant workers. So the same thing in the UK last year. Same thing here in parts of Europe, where for some reason or another, because they're not white, let's just say it as it is, then they're not welcome. But these were the people that were coming and harvesting all the soft fruits and the asparagus and et cetera, And then all of a sudden, none of it's available in the shops. When it is, you have to pay a small fortune for it. And everybody says, well, why is that? Why has everything gone up in price? Well,
And
mainly because
just
there's a
really,
shortage
really
of
quick,
labor.
a person named Michael Anthony apparently knows you, and he thinks you're a handsome devil. Apparently, you're
Well,
going to be having his love child. He also says we did question him if you are handsome, and he was like, eh. And then he said, but you need to smile more. So if you would smile more, that would make one of your fans. I'll make your fan happy. You can get all of the show.
Look, I'm at an age now where I'm actually allowed to look miserable, sound miserable, and be
but there is a problem here. If you cannot say that somebody is not attractive, you cannot say that somebody is attractive also.
Well, you said Taylor Swift is a pig. So right away,
no. I just said she's not a pig.
Taylor Swift was a pig.
She's just not attractive to me. That's an attractive woman. I don't know why.
Adam lives in Greece. Everybody, you can send your cards and letter to Adam.
He needs to move now.
Yeah, you need to move. So he lives in Greece, New Jersey. So you can get him. You can stay there. But to your point, you're correct. Everything now is becoming very much cult-like. And everything is becoming very much. If you don't agree with me, going to David's point,
you're my enemy.
America, right? But you can't discuss. To your point, like if I was at dinner on Friday night and we were talking about children and we were talking about politics and whatever, but you can't discuss when you say I don't agree with this statement or this policy or I don't agree with this. People now, back in the day, they'd have a regular dialogue. You'd be like, why don't you agree? I don't like that. Oh, you're right. Well, what about that? And you would talk. Man, it was sort of like their feathers got up and they're like, oh, what do you mean? I'm like, dude, I'm just telling you, like, I actually read. I can tell you. And they're just like, well, this person's going to do this. And I'm like, I actually read X. Have you read it? And then they look at you and they're like, well, no. And I'm like, well, so when you watch it on TikTok, how do you have an opinion? But back in the day, we would have a dialogue at the dinner table. When I was a kid, my dad would talk about politics. We'd go out to dinner, you talk about politics. And now people are like, you don't talk about religion or politics. I talk about everything. And when I go to dinner, going dinner with me is like, good luck. Because if you have taboo subjects or
I would go to a dinner with you.
Yeah, who wouldn't want to go to dinner with me? I would buy. But my point is, when people go to dinner with me, there's no such thing as trigger words. There's no such thing as the subject is off topic. And during the dinner, people are going, you're not really supposed to discuss. And I literally said, I don't care.
Oh,
I said, we're all adults. I said, if you can't discuss this, then this is what's wrong with America, that adults can't have a dialogue.
It wasn't that so wonderful about, I remember, I don't know, 10, 15 years ago, maybe longer than that, then we'd have friends around and it would be a real ding dong. People were in a mental ding dong, in the nicest possible way.
Right.
Everybody was getting their fisticuffs out and saying this and saying that. And it was great. It was just almost as if you were fencing with them, tick, tack, tack, tack. But nowadays, if your farts don't smell right, that's all over social media. Come on. Why is everybody? Have we all grown? We did a show a couple of weeks ago, and I said something like, "Well, we should be born with a third hand. Maybe we should now all look at the length of our toes and see how far they're sticking out, because it doesn't mean to make any difference what you do. You seem to tread on everybody's toes. Oh, you can't do that. You can't do this. You can't say that. Well, I can't, but I just did. So where does that lead us?
But that's the problem. We've become a society, and I don't know if it's the whole globe, but we definitely have, not New York.
The West, for sure.
Sorry, Steve, but going back to the core of this discussion and what Adam put forward, are we polarizing the world, or is the world polarizing us?
That's a good question. What's about the polarization? Is it something natural that we have? Is it something that we need to do because we need to have opponents, and if we don't have an enemy, we have to create one, or something like that? Why it's happening? There are games here in football, and people are so fanatic with one team, and the other are so polarized that they're like fighting and killing each other. What the fuck?
Yeah.
Why? Is it our nature like that?
Well, it's tribalism, and it's a sense of belonging, I think, for a lot of it. It's going back to being that super fan again.
Belonging to one group with others. So it's about loneliness in a way.
Yeah. Well,
not being alone.
maybe the superfan is violent, but is violent with words and their deeds to what you're saying about their object of desire. Whereas whereas football supporters, football hooligans, just like a good punch up. And yeah, I mean, we had a wonderful professor here. They got him off the TV here like PDQ, I can tell you. But he said, "Oh, if all these young guys, they're going to fight anyway." End of. So why don't we just let them go to the woods, and if they want to play last man standing, fine, let them do it, because they're going to do it anyway. So why are we all getting busy about letting young men fight? And there's a lot to be said for that, So because you think, okay, well, if people want to fight, fight. It's their bag, isn't it? Their thing.
But they're going to drug innocent people also with them,
No,
Well,
because you'd have some sort of deal before then. So like you take your own dead and wounded away.
Oh, wait. So you're talking about like almost the movie The Purge now, where between noon and midnight, people get to go and kill each other, and if you don't want to be part of it, you go to the safe zone type of thing.
Yeah, well, not so much killing each other, but there's a whole group of people, they feel like they have to go, bare knuckle fighting, or that they just want to go up against another testosterone fueled person.
I think you're going to get that here in America next year when we after the election. I think you're going to have that here. So if you want to come and do that, I think we have a whole country that it's going to be MMA.
I've got a funny feeling that at a certain point of time, a certain orange gentleman or one of his representatives will stumble upon the portfolio of shows that we have on 2OF and say, we'll put them on the degenerate list. So that'll be the end of it.
That, or they'll
and that way they won't give me a visa. I won't be allowed in.
I know. Well, just so you know, Donnie wants to come on the Habana Cigar Show. He wants to, because Riza, his brother or nephew, is almost related to him. So we did it. So if you have missed that show a couple of weeks ago,
right? And
Riza's brother is related
to
Donald Trump.
Pakistani then? Because that'd be an interesting bloodline to see how that runs.
Yeah, you gotta see how he's related to Mega. So Donnie's going to come on, I think, and do an interview with us about how his policies and whatever. So we've invited Donnie. We've invited Putin because Putin's David's favorite. We've invited Zhao
Duncan?
from China. We've invited all the leaders to come on any of our shows and have a civil discord, and more about them than political. Because listen, we already know what you stand for, so I don't really care. I don't need to know your policies or how nuts you are. I want to know about them. Like, tell us about you. So we've invited them all, so they all watch the show. So we'll see who shows up. So we've invited Biden, but I think he forgot.
He didn't find the link.
He didn't find the link yet to click.
He missed the link for the fans and for the.
He missed the link to watch the show.
That's why he called his son Hunter, of course, so he can sort of hunt around in his brain to remember what the name of his son is. There you go. Right. You can have that one for free. I'm happy to be on any show. If we can get Duncan from Dunkin' Donuts, I so much want to meet the man. If we can get him on one of the shows, count me in.
Talking about polarization, let's go back to that for just a second. So,
we are still there all the time. If you think about it, everything's polarized now.
That's true.
Well, some like sugar, some say they hate it because it's very bad for health, etc.
So
it's good for the brain, though.
Depending on who becomes president, it doesn't like it's either A or B, right? How will that affect the world? Do we think it's going to polarize the world? Do we think it's going to make the world wake up a little bit? What are we thinking?
I understand it now. I understand American politics. All you have to do is vote for A or B. That's it, Stephen. That's what Stephen said. It's either A or B.
Pretty much.
I'll tell you what. When Annette had her list of politicians that she could vote for the Dutch election, we could have wallpapered our toilet with the amount of. It must have been 1.5 meters. Easily.
Wow. That's for everybody and outside of the world in the United States, 1.5 meters is about 4.5, 5 feet. Go ahead.
Yeah, which is trust me, a lot between friends. So it just so the US is just A or B then.
Yeah, but Stephen was saying that we need more candidates because America right now has A and B. It's totally polarized.
Right.
It doesn't have something in between. In Greece, we have in between, like center political parties, or
And remember, we don't have a popular vote. We do have a popular vote, but you win by the electoral college. So
you got a strange system.
if you can flood your state or flood your politicians or however with enough, whether it's real people or fake people, that's how you win. If we were voting like most countries do on the popular vote, it would be very interesting than if we had a third or a fourth party or candidate that said, I believe this. Because now all of a sudden it's the popular vote, then people could be like, oh, I don't have a choice of dumb or dumber. I have a choice of dumb, dumber, or this guy. I'm going to try this guy. And I think the problem is that America for so long has been this two-party system that I think most Americans forgot what America really is. I really, truly believe they just forgot it. It's become the USA Inc. And because of that, I think they forgot what we are and who we are as a people and what we do.
Stephen, who is the winner of the situation? Now think about it in a global scale. Who is the winner of that situation that's happening in the USA? In the West in general?
Well,
anybody apart from the Americans, it would seem.
Anybody, yeah, the Illuminati, the lizard people.
You don't think that China or Russia or Iran is the winner of this thing? Because this thing is actually, it's eating our societies. It's making us hate more the other Americans than the Chinese.
But see, I don't really hate I don't hate anybody. I mean,
you don't, but I mean about the people that are. You're not so polarized,
right? But people are. But unfortunately,
it's
people
just
are
another crumbling empire, isn't it?
I don't. It's you got to have. I guess as a country, we need, to your point, someone to hate. But there's no reason to hate anybody. Listen, we're putting 10% tariffs on China. That's what Trump wants to put 10% tariffs on everything China does. That's fine. BYD has 100% tariffs on other EVs, but they make a better EV than Tesla. So, I mean, I get what's going on. Everyone's trying to protect their little piece, but it'd be really interesting, the United Nations, which is kind of an oxymoron, if the United Nations, if everybody would really get together and say, how do we make the planet better? How do we get rid of this? How do we become a utopia?
But you see that this is the opposite of polarization. Let's get together and let's talk civilized about the problems of this planet, because the problems that we face in this planet are everybody's problem. We got the climate change. We are facing wars. We are facing.
Forget climate change and wars. Just in general,
that's not true.
If everybody got together and said, "Hey, listen, we don't want to have. No one should starve anymore. No one should do that. How do we fix it?" If they all got together and they got, you
know what Charlie Munger said about starving. He said they solved the poverty problem in the US. They made everybody obese. So it's one or the other.
Yeah, but I'm talking real. I don't care about
back to what Adam said. I don't think people do care. I think people there are millions of people who just need to get through today.
And that's the thing.
They have no choice because nobody cares to help them. Ronald Reagan got rid of mental institutes, so now we have all these people that are out because we have no place to put them. The problem has become that we have become a society that is me, and that's it. And that is what the issue is. I have no beef with China. I have no beef with any of these other countries. And you know what? We do buy Chinese products. Everybody does. So anybody says, I only buy American, you're full of crap. Look at the car you're driving, or look at the appliances in your house. I have no beef with any country unless they want to kill us. China doesn't want to kill us as far as I know. Russia's just trying to, I don't know what the hell Russia's doing. I personally have no beef with Russia. Now, if Russia goes through the Ukraine, hits over to Poland and keeps on going, we may have a little problem with that because now there's a world war that involves me. But if everyone just got sat down and said, how do we make it better? And we don't try to all kill each other, but that's not the way the world works. The industrial military complex is we need more money. How do we kill each other? The governments are we need more power. What do we do to get more power? There's nobody that just sits there literally the joke is, can't we all get along? No, apparently we can't. And so whatever happens to our planet, whatever happens to this country in the next, whether it's 6 months or 100 years, we deserve. I have no empathy.
Yeah,
for
and
anything.
this is the polarization I'm talking about. It's
Yeah.
I against I in a way.
Basically,
There was a song by Massive Attack, and I'm working on a project like that now, and it's I against I. You know, it's people want their good, but they are actually doing everything that is against their good. You know,
Right.
it's crazy in a way, and this is because people don't care. They don't have the time. They have everyday problems. They're practical problems to feed the family, to have work because AI is coming. And there's another polarization: AI or against AI, or is it art or is it not art? There's another polarization. It's happening all over. We are like addicted to a polarization right now, and this is a big problem. This is psychological problem, this is social problem, economical also. It's we need to find a common ground, guys. It's urgent. You know,
we don't seem to be. Ronald Reagan made a statement once in the UN. He goes, "Just think if there was a threat coming from another world, we'd all band together." And I've always thought of that, and not that he knew that UFOs were out there or anything, but I always thought to myself, but see, then that's a wrong way to look at that. Just because a big spaceship flies into our airspace, that doesn't mean that they want to kill us. But we're so stupid as a globe. The first thing we would do is that they're here to kill us. Okay,
it's like the film Arrival, if you remember and you watched it. Arrival,
or the
very nice one, science fiction with
Arrival
aliens
was
and
good.
communication.
Time that Earth stood still was good.
Yeah, the older one.
I watched. Funny enough, watched one at the weekend called the Tomorrow War.
How was that?
Which
was a fight yesterday.
No, that's interesting. That's right up your stras, Stephen. The Tomorrow War. Watch that on next one. The Tomorrow War. Yeah.
Was that with Chris Pratt?
Yeah.
I saw it. I was underwhelmed that he was fighting with his daughter. Yeah, I got it. Yeah, put him in the future.
It was an underwhelming film, but well, it was a popcorn movie. If you like popcorn with crunchy aliens, but but again, that was going back to that. All of a sudden, there was something bigger than ourselves, and we had that discussion before. So if it's not God, it must be the planet we're living on.
Yeah, and like I said, I'm sorry.
I was going to say, or it must be the clock ticking.
Yeah, I don't know. At some point, I really hope, as a globe, since there's 8 billion people here, and you've got Xi in China, and you got Putin in Russia, you got whoever's going to be our president here in the next 12 months. I really, really hope that they all get their head out of their asses at some point.
At some point it will happen, Stephen. But the question is, what will be the cost until we get to that point? That is the question.
That you're gonna, I think you're gonna see.
There is going to people die. You know, that's sure.
No. I don't mean death like we're dying because we just died because whatever.
I mean,
I'm talking about you're gonna see. I go back to, I think you're gonna see the Germany of the 30s and the early 40s.
Well, there was a lot of death then, and
no kidding, 6 million of my people died there.
Yeah.
So so that's the whole thing. I think unfortunately that's we're heading into.
Well, one of the ironies of history, of course, is that
repeats itself.
Hitler wasn't very good at killing people either, because Stalin did a much better job.
Yeah.
As did Mao Zedong, and
in numbers at Lenin, yeah.
Everybody's fascist favorite, Pol Pot.
You know, if you look at the soldiers that died in the Second World, and you look which country lost the most, it was Russia. It was Soviet Union. You know why? There was another thing. Now we're speaking about, because this is what art actually does. It can show you what really happened. There was a film that was called Enemy at the Gates. And it was about the Stalin. I saw it with in Greece. The director came also, and it was about a real story about the Russian, sniper.
Mm-hmm.
And there were some real fightings and shows that there were like 20 or more Russian soldiers going with only one that had a rifle. And they were saying, look, if this one with a rifle dies, you take the rifle and run, continue. You have to run anyway. You have to go ahead, That's the way they were happening. They were going like a slaughter machine, in front of the German machine, which was very organized at that time. And that was a reason.
Hitler would have read a history book, he would have took over Russia, because Napoleon did the same thing.
You know something, in a way, it happens also right now with the Russians. There are young Russians going to the war, don't really knowing what they are fighting for. There is a story. Okay, there's a story behind.
Yeah, but it's he's been very clever, Putin, because he emptied all the jails.
He's very clever. He is,
So
of
you know the
course.
thing about he won't have any. He won't have to buy anybody porridge, or you won't need any security guards or anything, because all the prisons are empty. They're all all on the front line. So
Yeah,
there you go.
so
But
there are
I mean,
meats.
these wars are no
social
different than the
engineering.
Vietnam War. When you would talk to people that came back from the Vietnam War, kids that were going or whatever, and you'd say, not like career military people, but like a kid go, "What are you fighting for?" He goes, "I have no clue. They just gave me a rifle and told me to point it." And I'm
Yeah,
like, wow.
because
and that's
even
kind of where we are today.
there was another movie, but I don't remember. It was last year's, I think. It won an Oscar. It was about the First World War. That were young guys.
1917.
Yeah, something like that. You remember this movie?
I saw it last night. I actually watched it last night.
What was the title?
1917.
No. It was a bigger title.
No, 1917.
Anyway,
All Quiet on the Western Front.
Yeah. All Quiet on the Western Front.
Yeah.
And this one, you remember that the young guys, you're very, let's go and fight, and we saw what happened. Because whatever narrative you give to them for fighting, when there is the fighting, and when you experience all the shit that is happening, the narrative goes away like that. And you're thinking, what the fuck am I doing here? I felt that when I was in the army and in Greece. And I realized what war is when we had the first practice of shooting, with our rifles. It was the third month of serving. And we were in a circle, and the other guys there in another circle. They were teaching us what to do, what to avoid, and to be careful and everything. And suddenly I hear, and I look and I see, oh, fuck, that's a war. There are some guys here, other guys there, and they're exchanging bullets. What the fuck? For what? For what? For narratives, for stories. For some stories that some guy, a leader, Putin, Hitler, any kind of guy you just put in, has a story in his head and say, let's kill the others. But you might also, they don't say that you might also be killed, and you're suffering, and your parents were suffering, and children will be dying, and poverty and starvation, and nobody will be happy. But the idea, I don't know. I have a big problem with this.
I think we all.
Well, I think that's
polarization,
like polarization part 2. I think.
It's a good. Because we're living right now in a world that is more polarized than it used to be like 20 years ago. I think.
Correct.
After the fall of the Soviet Union and stuff, it looked like, okay, guys, we are now maybe we'll be cooperating for a better world now, right? Because, but it didn't happen. So the question that I asked, is it our nature like that? Yes. I don't know. Maybe we have another show about it.
No, I think it's our nature. Unfortunately, since the beginning of time, I read the book it's called The World, and I've talked about it before. Since day one, it looks like all we want to do is fight and kill each other for whatever reason.
But we must grow up, Stephen, as a species.
Dude, my friend, I would love for humanity to grow up. Unfortunately, I don't.
But in the meantime,
humanity's growing up anytime.
In the meantime, surely they should like and subscribe and comment.
Our show.
Yeah, just one comment before we go. That next week we don't have the show because I'm on vacation. So 2 weeks.
Will be on holiday. The next show will be 2 weeks, which will be the 24th. No, it won't be the 1st, July 1st. And I think Vicky from Social Intercourse is going to join us on July 1st.
You do realize, of course, that the world's going to end on
18 tomorrow. They said 18, no?
Oh, that's right. The guy, the time traveler, said the world ends tomorrow, so we may not see you on the 1st of July. So we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see.
So we'll see you. We'll see you when we see you, either in paradise, either in hell, either on the show. Let's choose the show.
All right, everybody.
It's not polarized.
It's not polarized. Anybody, thanks for watching. Thanks for our fans that were chatting with us while we were doing the show.
Thanks, fans.
That was very nice.
Take care, guys.
And also, don't forget to subscribe and like. You can catch us wherever you get podcasts, anywhere on the planet. You can catch us here, of course, on YouTube if you want to look how beautiful it is. And now that David's smiling because Michael told him to smile, we're very happy about that. And, of course, our best fan, Dawn.
Hi.
she types to us all the time. So thank you, Dawn.
Yeah.
And we'll see you
Thank you,
guys
Dawn.
in a fortnight with hopefully Vicky from Social Intercourse. Cheers, everybody.
Take
Bye-bye.
care, everyone. Bye-bye.